Hey guys, welcome to DevOpsSchool. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Docker. It helps us to create, deploy and run applications by using containers. After going through this tutorial, I promise you that the concept and understanding of the Docker will be absolutely clear to you.
But before that, let me ask you a few things. Are you dreaming of a career with higher pay and more responsibilities? Or are you ready to take your skills to the next level this year? Then start investing in DevOpsSchool certification level courses which will help you to emerge skills for a wide range of entry-level roles and as well as higher potential future positions. But with thousands of courses online and in classroom worldwide, finding the right one for your career goals can be difficult. You can consider our courses like Agile Developer, Agile QA, DevOps Certified Professionals, Site Reliability Engineering, DevSecOps, and Masters in DevOps Engineering, where you will have access to well-structured, easy-to-follow course content that has been developed and will be delivered by industry professionals. You can join on our training programs globally through online platforms, and if you are looking for classroom workshops, then we have regular sessions available in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi NCR, Mumbai and in Pune. Simply compare our many courses, find the one that suits your style and schedule best and start today.
Going to be a bit more interesting from our earlier session because we are going to incorporate whatever we have learned so far and we'll see Docker as a whole, but this time we'll be covering Docker Compose. So we'll be seeing Docker from a developer perspective, like how we can use Docker to simplify development workflow. So when we say development workflow, so we need to take a step back and see what exactly Docker solves or what exactly we do with Docker. So initially we used to have monolithic application, just one part of it, and then people will configure in their machines and then they'll start developing some features. Okay, so it was like one configuration and fit for all, and so it will be easy for developer and if you are building a new feature and all those things, so you do not have to spend time to set up your workspace, right? So time saved is like time for deployment or time to production will be less. But when we go to Docker world, right? So what we exactly did is we had a monolithic like big problem. We divided it into small chunks, and then we ended up having multiple small containers or microservices and whatnot. So let's say if you want to develop something, so there will be certain dependencies around it. Okay. So what will happen now is a developer, let's say he's working on 5-6 components, he needs to set up 5-6 components separately. Okay. In order to check his feature whether it is working properly in conjunction with all the other components or not, right? So earlier what he used to do was he used to just concentrate on one configuration. Now what he's doing is he has to concentrate on multiple configurations. Okay, so I say Shavud joined a bit later. So Shavud, for you, I'll repeat it again. So Shavud, we are discussing about Docker Compose. Okay. And the first question was why we need to learn on Docker Compose, like what exactly is Docker Compose, and why we should learn Docker Compose. So the ideology, what I was trying to tell here is, let's say you will have a monolithic application, and so all the configurations and everything would be placed at one place. But when you have Docker, so you have broken down your application into small chunks or small microservices or small components which interact with each other using the services or the APIs exposed. And then you need to have configuration file against each microservice or each component. So which will be a headache for the developer to set up in his local machine. Okay, so this is the gist around Docker Compose. 5 people went to Docker Compose. So Docker Compose earlier name was Fig. Okay, so it was not originally part of Docker umbrella, but as it grew adaptation in the market, then people realized, okay, so people realize that, okay, if you want to run 4-5 containers, so every time you have to go and use command prompt and use Docker run, blah, 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 something. So if you do it, if you keep on doing it manually, so wherever there will be manual intervention, you will have problems. You will face deviations and deltas every time, and then later instead of development, you'll be focusing or solving issues which are not development centric, rather your infrastructure or platform centric. So in order to solve a problem from monolithic to microservices world, you in turn created some more problems for your developers. So that's where people went to Docker Compose. So now we are going to see how exactly Docker Compose is useful for developers, or rather how Docker Compose is useful for any POCs or something. Or if I have to put it in a nutshell, we can say that how Docker Compose can run multiple containers. Okay. Having said that, so today I'm using Play with Docker portal. Okay. So this is one freely available portal. I'm not sure whether you guys are aware of it or not. But if not, earlier I've seen people asking me certain questions around how to set up local machine and whatnot. So Play with Docker is an open source platform. Like you can use it freely, but it has a time limit, which is like 4 hours. So whatever work I'll do now will get wiped out after 4 hours. Okay, I cannot extend it, but I can add multiple instances. So it's like I can add multiple virtual machines, and I can perform my work. And later on, whenever I'm done with my POC, or I'm done with my session, or I'm done with my exploration, like whatever we are discussing here, right? So it's I can just close it off, close session, and move forward. Okay. But it is like, as I said, your work will not be saved anywhere. So whatever you are trying, whatever you are checking, first of all, should not contain any secret stuff like secret data or passwords and whatnot. And it should be easily reproducible. Okay, so you can use the platform going forward. So it's like no wait, you can immediately start. So today we are going to check Docker Compose. So what I'm typing is Docker Compose command, and it will tell whether Docker Compose is installed or not. But let's say if you want to start something afresh in your local machine, so I've given installation for it as well. So you can go through it, and I'll share the document for you guys. Okay, how to do that. But it's just a simple binary. You just have to download it and add it to your build path. Okay, so let's directly dive into some set of problems, and then we will try to build our understanding and understand, okay, what exactly Docker is trying to do. Okay, Docker Compose is how it is coming to our rescue. Okay, so far, any questions? Anyone is having any doubts, like why Docker Compose came into the picture? Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'll go to my repo. I'm going to repositories, and there is a repository called dockercompose.no. So there I have added certain help file, which is like the dry run which I did earlier. So you can use it. I'll tell you how to use it, and then the actual finished Docker file, which we'll see today, and then some other WordPress file as well. So we are going to first solve a problem, but without Docker Compose. Then we will see how Docker Compose is helping. Okay. So first we'll assume like, okay, I don't know anything, and I'll just manually go and try to develop something on top of without Docker Compose. Okay. So we are going to use one application which is always used in Docker conferences, DockerCon. It was introduced in 2017. It's famously known as Docker Sample Voting App. So it has certain parts around it. So voting app front end is written in Python. Then it has a Redis layer, that is caching layer. Then you'll have a worker, which in turn feeds data to the PostgreSQL. And later you have ecosystem of Node.js content, which shows the result. Okay. So why this app is very famous and always used around showing some new capabilities on Docker, because it has, first of all, different dependencies And then it is also synchronous app. So if I'm updating something here, immediately it will get updated there. Okay, so it will keep on polling PostgreSQL and all. So this data, you can find it here. I'm sharing it on the chat, and also I'll share it in the document. But now just assume that you are a DevOps engineer and a new project is coming into the pipeline and you need to prepare a Docker Compose file. But that is the end. But now what you are going to do is you are going to build up this app from the ground up, and you don't want to know anything like how Python voting app code is written or how Node.js is used in result app code. Rather, you just need to focus on, okay, I just need to bring this app up. Okay. So like always, what we have is we have certain documentation around it. So you have a boot type of container, and then you have certain understand like certain requirements around it, what you have to do, like it has to export port 80, and you have to pull this image. We are not going to talk like what exactly is in this image, because we are going to see it directly. And then you have something on Redis, which version of Redis we are going to run, and whatnot, like it is not exposing any public code, and it is on front-end network. So if you see here, we are going to use front-end and back-end networks. So like segregation, not everything will be on one network stack, rather these two will be on front-end, and then here will be on back-end, and some will be on both front-end and back-end. Okay. So we are going to see it extensively today, and we are going to solve it without Docker Compose. We are going to do everything manually now and see how things work. Okay. So before I go any further, so let me just show you guys how this play with Docker works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very famous Nginx image. So I'm doing docker run -p, and I'm going to run it in detach mode. Okay, and then I want to run Nginx. Okay, nothing else. So what we are going to do is what we are doing here is we are running we are piping port 80 of this machine is running Docker currently, and we are asking Docker to run Nginx. So you can see it is fairly fast, and you can see immediately that port 80 got exposed. Okay, earlier it was not here. So if I click on port 80, you can see that okay, Nginx is running here. Okay, so this is pretty much smooth. So what we are going to do now is I'll kill down this container, which is E33, and we'll move forward with our demo. Okay. So if I kill that, you can see that it will not work. Okay. So coming back to our code base or our application. So what we are going to do is like we'll start from here, and slowly we'll start all these applications separate containers, and we'll make sure all the dependencies and wirings are working properly, and see how things will work. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is as the starting point, we'll make certain mistakes as well. We'll see that our application is not working, and then we'll try to resolve it. And meantime, I will request you guys to pay some attention so that you can also help me in debugging it. Okay. So first, the starting point is I need two networks. So I'm going to create one. I pressed Alt and Enter, so it will make the command prompt type. I'm going to create network. I'm using help command on network. Okay. Okay. So I can use all these options, but I'm not going to use any because I want driver to be bridge one. So I'm just going to straightforward create two networks. Okay, I need to create one by one. Okay.
So you're going to have a containers in different networks then.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Okay. So it's going to be an interesting app. So I'm doing a network ls. So you can see that we have host, none, and bridge, and then we have backend and frontend. So what we are going to do now is we just start reading the documentation and trying to make something out of it and move forward. Okay, so what this is saying, ignore this service and all these things because this demo was supposed to be for Docker Swarm, but in order to explain the usage of Docker Compose, I'm using it. So just see here, you have vote. Okay, so vote is a container and you want this image to be run here, and then you want port 80 to be exposed, and container is also listening on port 80, and it has to be on content network and ignore the replica. Okay, so you can focus here. So what we are going to do, first I'll copy this. Can someone tell me where this image will be residing? Any idea?
You mean it on Docker Hub?
Okay, perfect. So,
or you're preparing.
Okay, so I'll just show you where exactly it is. So we are using images directly, right? So we are not doing anything else fancy. So you can go to my repository and you'll see all these things are already there, like images are already there, pushed some 14 days back. So now we are okay. So I'm copying this image URL and coming to the host machine and using this Docker run. I'm going to run it in detached mode. I'm going to use -p flag. I'm going to pipe port 80 from the host to the port 80 inside the container, and I'm going to use this image. Okay, nothing fancy, nothing, no problem. Okay, so it's going to download the image and okay, so we can see that Docker PS, and we'll see that we have one container. Okay, and port 80 is there. So let's see if we can. I'm pressing Alt Enter and I'm again clicking on port 80. Okay. No, I don't want to reload. Okay, so it's still not picking up. Okay, so let's move forward. We'll see why it is not coming. Okay. Okay, still hitting in there. It's perfect. Let me do something. What I'll do now is I'll just port 81. Okay. Okay, so it was using some cache, and that's why it is not picking up port 80 from earlier. But for our session, we are using this. Okay, so this is going to be the front end of the container, which we just not pinned up. Okay. Could be a glitch from the play with Docker app. Okay, so our container is listening on port 8081. So what we are going to do now is we'll go again to our documentation, and this time we are going to we have to start our Redis container. Okay, so prior to this, what I'll do is Docker PS. I'll kill that container, the port 80 container, so which is this one. Okay, so Docker 048. Okay, so what we just now did is we ran front-end container and we are able to access it now. And now we are going to move to the other container, which is we are going to start this for now, which is Redis. Okay, so it is saying like we need to use Redis 3.2 version image only. So we'll comply what exactly is being asked. So, and also there is no port which needs to be exposed. So what we're going to do is Docker run -d, that is in the cache mode, and we want to run this container, and there is no other requirement. Okay, so we just accept it. Okay, no other requirement. I'm going Docker PS, and you can see there are 2 containers now. And container is by default listening on 7369, which is like default port for Redis. So from our app architecture where we are, we have pinned up our front-end app. We have pinned up our Redis caching layer. Now we are going to pull our worker, which in turn will take input from Redis, process it, and then push it to Postgres. Okay. The worker is using a specific image, which is this. And we missed one part, if you guys would have had noticed, that is the network, correct? So front-end app, which is both app, needs to be on the front-end network, right? So how we can see that a container is on which network? So I'm first of all clearing it. And then what I'll do is Docker ds, and we have this app, which is example voting app. So I'm going to do Docker inspect, and I'm going to give this ID, which is EGCC for this container. Okay. And we can see that it is by default on the bridge network, right? So this is not what we wanted. So what we'll do now is we'll go back and we'll kill both the containers. Okay. So we are going to see any running container. We don't have any running container. So what we are going to do now is, just to be on the safer side, what I'll do is I will delete this host. And I'm going to add a new session, new machine. I'll do Docker info. Okay. Things looks good. Clear. And Alt enter. Okay. Docker run -d -p host 80. I'm going to run our first. So first I created two networks, front end and back end. And now I'm going to pass the front end. And then what we're going to do is we go and pass the image name we wanted to run. Copy. Paste. Okay. Now for PS, we have the container and it's running on port 80. So we can check that later now. Now we are going to run the other one, which is Reddish. So this time the say also wants to be on the front end. We'll oblige -d no p, but -net front end, and we are going to use Reddish 3.2. Am I missing any details? So public code. Okay. I'm sorry, public code. So we have our Reddish pod as well. So I'll go back up. And this time now we are going to run the worker app. So I'm copying the image. Docker run -d no public ports, and it is on front end and back end network. So I want you guys to pay attention here. Okay, I'm going to give front end and I'm going to give back end. Okay, and then I'm going to give the name. So technically speaking, if you see here, what it's trying to tell, it's saying, hey, I need a worker container, and it is going to connect with Reddish and the PostgreSQL. So it needs to be on the front end and the back end, and no public ports exposed, and we need to tie it up to two networks, like front end and back end both. So remember when we talked about bridge network, so it was like there will be two virtual cards. One will go inside the container and the other one will go inside the host machine, right? So, or rather, let's say a bridge which Docker is creating for us. So if what we did is we read it and we directly implemented. So I'm using Docker run -d, which is the dispatch mode, and I'm passing -net for front end and -net for back end, and then my image name. So it's pretty simple, right? I'm not doing anything fancy here. But if we will do that, so Docker will say like, hey, I cannot attach it to two containers, right? So it is like how it is being designed, or so far there is no way to attach two containers at the time of running the container. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to start the container with one network, and then we need to use a command, if I'm not wrong, connect. Docker network. Okay, Docker network connect. So guys, -help will always help you. So connect a container to a network. So connect and then option and then network and the container. Okay, perfect. So what we are going to do is Docker network connect. Let me know if this is not visible. I'll go up a bit. Docker network connect, and it said like network name, which is backend, and the container was Docker PS, and this was the container like worker. Okay, so let's take a step back and just inspect it. Okay, inspect F4 to 3. Okay, so here you can see that okay, it is on the front end, right? Let's clear it off and go back to that. So Docker network connect backend. The ID was F4 to 3. Okay, so let's inspect again, same container. This time we can see we have front end and we have back end. Okay, perfect. Now we are going to spin up Postgres DB container. So we are going to use Postgres official image version 9.4, and we need to pass it in environmental variable and whatnot. Okay. So I'm going to come here, Docker run -d, and is there any port exposed? I don't see any. Okay, no port. And then there is this image, which is 9.4. Prior to this, it is also expecting environment variable, which is given with even each switch. So it is just telling, hey, I don't want any authentication. That's it. So we have passed that as well. And apart from that, there was also one more line for volume. So let's go back and check what exactly it is saying. So it's saying like, okay, hey, you need to point what is inside this container, like from PostgreSQL image, you need to point it to some other managed volume, like Docker volume, db-data. Okay, so how we pass volume is we use -v switch and db-data. Okay, and we'll try to start the container. So I'm going to run Docker ps. Okay, so we have 4 containers now. So meantime, also have this in mind that we are starting one application. Okay? Let's say I'm going to add something new, a new feature. But these are the things which I'm doing currently. Instead of just directly working on something like my feature, but I'm setting up the environment, the C. Okay, so that is why we are doing it manually. And now the final piece of the puzzle, we'll take this. So the final piece is like result. Whatever you will choose here, right? It will have a synchronous front end for the result. Like whatever we choose here, it will go and display there. We'll see how it will look. So it uses this, and it is exposed on port 6001. Okay. So I'm copying this. I'm coming here to the host machine, Docker, and we made a mistake if I'm not wrong. Yes. So we forgot to attach the network here. Okay. So Docker, again, Docker network, connect, and the network it needs to be on is backend. So we'll give backend, and the container ID is 0f9f. So 0f9f. Okay. So we'll just go back and inspect 0f9f. Okay, so it is on bridge as well as it is on backend. Okay, so what we are going to do is, can we Docker network? I can help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the bridge. Okay, so Docker network disconnect, and the bridge and container is 0f9s. Okay, Docker inspect 0f9s, and this time you can see that it is only on backend. Okay, so we check the disconnect as well. Okay, so that's for the DB. Let's go back to our result. We finally. I'm clearing the screen. So Docker run -d, and I just pasted the image name which I want to run. I want to use the -p command, which is going to expose port 5001, and the internal port will be 80. Let's go back and check. Yeah, container is on port 80, and it is on backend network. So let's give -net backend. Okay, so I'm going to run this now. Okay, so we have so far ran all the containers or dependencies, whatever we had. I'm just minimizing it. Yeah, so you can see that. Yeah, so these are the names of the containers, and these are the ports and whatnot. So what we're going to do now is we are going to check our application. Okay, so I'm pressing Alt and Enter, and you can see that okay, we have two ports exposed. One is port 80. Oh, baba. Still it is taking the port 80 as that. Okay. So what we are going to do, we will do something which we did last time. And Docker kill. This is the container which is running on port 80. You can see. I'm going to just kill it. And Docker run -d -p, and this time I'm going to run it on port 8081, internal it is 80, and we want to use this sample voting app, and it's supposed to be on the front end network, so we pass that as well. -net front end, and Docker PS. Okay, so it is on port 8080. Okay, so I'm switching. Okay, we can see cats and dogs. Let's see the total run, and you can see, yeah. So wherever you will like, this is going to be this will change if user will come here and choose something like whether you love cat or dog. So they'll come here and say, so as of now, no both, so it's 50-50%. So what we are going to do now, both of our front end apps are up. So let's see if our app is working from here. So I just hit both, and it is giving like internal server. Okay, so it is pretty much expected. Let's see why it is occurring like this. So the best thing, like, to see what exactly could be wrong. So like always, we'll go to the logs, and as we started with the voting app, so what we'll do is we'll check this container. Okay, and you can see everything here, but one line will stand out, which is this. Okay, so it is trying to connect to something called as Redis 6379, and it is saying like name does not resolve. So I want you guys to think about the service discovery part, which we discussed on networks. Okay, so we created the networks and we tried to ping Elasticsearch image from a different machine or from a different container, right? So we were able to ping it with the ES name only. We did not have to do anything. So here what this guy is doing, the front end, it is trying to connect to Redis, which is also on the same network, but he's trying to connect it with the Redis name as Redis. Okay, but if you have an eye of observation, you will see something like that here. So image name is Redis, but actual container name is Frosty Williamson. Okay, so when we were creating containers, we also got the names like, okay, this was supposed to be the name, but we did not added it. Okay, that's where we saw that service discovery is failing. So in order to prove it, what we can do is we will copy this. If I'm not wrong, there is name command. So I'm doing docker rename.
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Okay. Okay. So it is used as docker rename the container and the name. So what I'm going to do is docker. Okay, I'll go up here, docker rename, and I'm going to call it Redis. Okay. Now let's do docker ps. So you can see that container name got changed to Redis. Okay. Technically, we should not get the internal server error. Now we are not getting internal server error. You guys are following?
Okay, so it should now resolve.
Am I audible? Yeah, perfect. Correct. So why it was happening, what exactly we did, and what is service discovery. We are trying to group everything which we have had learned so far. Okay. But still, as I told you, this app is synchronous. Like when I'll change there, it will come and change here, right? So still, my vote did not came here or come here. So still there is a gap. So what we'll do is, we saw that all the names were not good. So we'll again, just to prove this hypothesis, what we'll do is we'll check the logs for this container. Of logs, and the container is result app. So we'll use 05E1, and we can see that it is saying like, hey, waiting for DB, waiting for DB, waiting for DB, nothing else. Okay. So if we'll go back to Docker PS and we'll see like, hey, all our containers, like this is supposed to be named as DB, right? So what we'll do now is let's try to solve it. Like Docker rename key dot something, and we'll call it DB. Okay. And we'll quickly go back to our log. Okay, so it is saying, hey, connected to DB, but still there is some gap because it is not able to connect to host. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, okay, PS, okay, we'll go back up, Docker PS, and we'll give the correct name to all the containers. Okay, so this worker Java needs to be worker, so let's call it worker, which is this Charming William. Copying it, Docker, rename, worker, Docker, rename. So this got worker and we have result. So what we need to call result? The result is result. So let's go back and check. Okay, meantime, as Reddish was updated with the key, we did not have to change other containers, but our app got updated. Okay, because worker picked up the key which we inserted in the Reddish, and immediately it got published to the Postgres. And as we have already fixed the Postgres, immediately it came here. Okay, so just to prove this point, what I'll do is I'll share this URL in the chat, and I'll request you guys to go and put your favorite and oh boy, I can't edit the chat. Okay, I'm just stopping my window share. 1 second. I'm sharing this URL in the DevOps group. Okay, and simultaneously, I'm also sharing one URL for the result. So below one is result. First one is the code. Okay, I'm sharing that. Can you guys go and give some vote? Like something, whatever you like. Anyone trying?
Yeah, Gaurav, I'm from. I can
Okay, thank you.
see the voting one.
Okay, perfect. So we have 2 votes now. Shout, can you give vote to dog, let's say? I feel like you like dogs. Okay, so I believe Shout is bit away. So we'll go back again. Okay, so meantime to complete this demo, right? Oh, it's done? Okay. So you have changed your vote?
Yeah, I clicked on dogs.
Yeah. So like it's like 1 person, 1 vote session. So that's how it will be. If you change it, so it will go to dog instead of cat. So you can see it is synchronous app and it will get updated. So it's one of the very famous app, and the importance of this app is it is used always to showcase the new features in the Docker or Docker World or Docker Company. So we use this app to understand the plight of developers. Okay, so we saw certain nominal mistakes which I did knowingly or unknowingly, but when I was setting it up earlier, like some months back, so I made this mistake unknowingly. Okay, so then I realized, okay, fine, this is service discovery and all those things, or this is what the app is trying to tell us or teach us. So let's complete this demo by renaming all the other containers. So we have results. So let's go to results. Before that, we'll do Docker PS. And so result is this one, Gracious Mendel. Docker rename. Is it result or is it?
So
And
it can be changed dynamically.
Can be changed dynamically even means what I'm doing now. Yeah, correct. See, remember, if you recall our network discussion, right? So what we told is a container name actually is like an ID to it. Not saying the ID, it's like address. So whenever you'll use this address, right? So you can directly go and use the service discovery inbuilt on the bridge. So like the custom network which will create. So it's like very good. But anyways, we'll see all these things in action in the services section for Kubernetes. Okay. So we'll do Docker PS and we'll see, okay, everyone is good. Everything is good. So if you see here, let's say we started some 24 minutes back. Okay. And it took us this much time to spin up this application. Okay. Just one cat and dog simple application. So if I'm just selecting to docs now and you'll see everything is docs. So what I'm saying is still our application is working. Okay. Think if you have to do this every day. Okay. You shut down your system and you come up and you have to do this every day. I feel like this is not good. Okay. It's not scalable as well. So what we are going to do now is we are going to see something. When I first saw it, I felt like it is magical, but it's not magical. It's like we are going to write the steps what we performed just now in some format. Here we call it as YAML, and then we'll give some interpreter that file to spin up the cluster for us. Okay, and that interpreter in our case would be Docker Compose. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll do Docker PS, and I'm going to enter this. For this compose, what I will do is I'll go to a different node. Okay, so already we'll have our cats and dogs application running here, and I'm going to go to Docker node 2. Okay, so it's like a fresh machine for me. So I'll do Docker PS, and no containers are here. I'll do Docker PS -a. Nothing is there. Docker images list. Nothing. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and what we can do is let's go to our repo now, and okay, so this is the history file which I have added. You would have seen now the steps what we perform. So directly, if you feel lost when you are doing it manually, you can come here and see that. So yeah, the one disclaimer is the container names will not be static. So they'll be different for you, but you can make out from the second name, like which container you have to name worker and which container you have to name this, right? So you can make out that. So let's go to voting app demo with the Docker Compose. So in order to download it, what we'll do is we'll come here, click on code, and we'll go to this machine, which is node 2. You can see here the name here is node 2, and we'll do git clone, Control V. We have the folder now. So here we can see some commands written here and there, but let me show you this in the good looking IDE. Okay, so this is the definition file for the app which we just now did. We'll give a walkthrough here and try to understand whether we are able to make anything out of it or not. Okay, So first of all, the version. Okay. So version for the Docker Compose file is like they support legacy version like 1, then 2, then 3, then 3.1. Okay. So it's always good to be on the latest version or the second latest version. So then the next question would be, why these many versions? So we are using certain objects like certain services like networks, like volumes. So they were not available in the earlier version, right? But anyways, in the current scenario, if you're going to use Docker Compose, so you should be either in the 3 or 3.1. The 3.1 is having things like you can directly use this compose file in the Swarm cluster, which we'll talk later. So what we're going to do now is, okay, so version is like something which will go and hit the particular API in the Docker Compose, like interpreter. Okay, it's like backward compatibility. So in Docker Compose, the containers which you are trying to instantiate, right, they are called as services. Okay, so service is a parent object in the Docker Compose world, and the other parent object we have as volume, and then the other parent object which we have is container. You can go and read the documentation around it, but we are talking here some of the objects which are most used. Okay, then we are calling our container as both. Okay, so service is like a parent object, and we are going to instantiate one service which is both. Then we are going to instantiate the other service which is reddish and cycle. So let's try to understand both. So here we are going to use this image, and what we are telling is, hey, vote. First of all, service compose, start some services. Compose will say, okay. We'll say, hey, start some vote, start a service vote, and I want you to use this image. Okay. So compose will say, okay, fine. I'll download this image and do the needful. And then we have both, hey, compose, not only download the image and start, but also expose compose. Similarly, hey, I want this vote to be listening on front end, frontier, and back tier. So in our case, it was like front end and back end. Now it is frontier and back end. Okay, so now where these networks are defined, so networks are created here. So by the time this whole interpretation will be done, so compose what it will do, it will create the network as well. Then once the compose is done with the service, so what compose will do, hey, I'm done with both service. Let's go to reddish. So reddish, we are seeking for reddish alpine, and we are giving the container name as reddish. So remember, we had issues with the container name only, so we are giving container name. Okay, and then what we are doing is we are giving the image name, and similarly, right? So what I will suggest is you guys can give a walkthrough of this. It is pretty straightforward, but the things what it performs is exactly the magic. Let's go and see that. I'm doing Docker Compose -help. It says like I have command which we'll always use, which is up, and then you have command which is ps, and then other commands like build and all those things. Let's try something. Docker Compose up, and what we'll do is we will do a help here. Okay, so it gives us an option of detach mode. Okay, so I'm going to do Docker Compose up, and we'll get -d. But if I'm going to hit enter now, right, so what will happen is by default Docker Compose reads the doc file which is named as docker-compose.yaml, okay, which is this file. We have it here, right? So we need not have to pass this. If this file name is different, we have to pass it. Otherwise, we need not have to pass anything. Directly, we can go to the directory and give Docker compose up with the -d flag. So it is downloading all the services. I'm sorry, images. Boom. And it's saying it's done. We'll do Docker compose ps, and we'll see we have DB, we have Redis, we have results, we have workers, and we have them. Okay, I'm putting roll enter, and let's go to 5000. So we have cat. Let's go to 5000 barn. We have results. Let's go through. And we can see our app is working. Okay. I'm going to close all the windows now. Any questions? Any reactions?
So if we are running it second time, it would just spin up the container, right?
It could just spin up the container. Okay. So what I'll do is I will go and I'll do Docker compose stop. Okay.
Yeah.
It stopped. Docker compose up. And this time I'm not giving -d flag. Okay. So we'll see all the logs generated by Docker compose. Okay. So you can see that connected to Redis, connected to DB, watching both queue. Okay. So remember, we had issues waiting for DB, and then there was a comment that connected to DB. So this is something similar. Okay. So if there is a question like, hey, whether app is working or not, so let's go back again and the answer as well. So we are going to choose cat, and we have cat. Okay. If you will start with without -d flag, and whenever you will give Control C, like always, it will kill the process, and subsequently it will kill the Docker compose, and Docker compose will kill the stack which it started. Okay. So
one of the container was has a problem and it's not starting up. But you are saying Docker compose up. Is it going to start rest of the containers, and that means the application is going to remain in stale condition, right?
No. So first of all, okay. So your question is has two parts. You talked about scaling and you talked about an error. Okay. So let's say we have a situation. Let me go back to the file. Take an example here. Worker. So what exactly worker will do when there is no Redis and there is no DB? Okay. So if let's say there is an issue in Redis, so this container itself will not start. But you will see that in but you will see that in the log. So as you have written your Docker compose file, right? So what are the levers here? Like what are the changing points here? The only thing which is going to change is the image which you are going to pull down. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Rest, all all the things which we have written here, I'm suspecting it is not going to change frequently. Okay. And if it is going to change, then also you will get some notification. Let's say you are going to add a new network pair. Okay. So the changing point is the image. That is where we spend a lot of time on image. Okay. So the feature whichever you are going to test or whichever you're going to develop and do whatever will get incorporated inside the image. Okay. Scaling, we don't use Docker Compose for scaling. Okay. Though you can scale it, but technically it is not for that purpose. Okay. So I don't go with the argument that we use Docker Compose for scaling. You can use it. There is command for it. You can do that, but it's not for that purpose. Okay. You can try that command. You can do Docker Compose, and there is something called as upscale, if I'm not wrong. Scale. Okay, set number of containers for a service. So you can do that. But technically we do, if let's say you have to do it, you can do it with Docker Swarm. Okay. So we are going to check that in coming session. So you can try different things like log, skill, images. I feel like these things are pretty much self-sufficient, but I'll recommend you to at least go and try all these things at least once. Then if you guys are fine with this, so let's go and check one more Docker file. Okay. So we have WordPress setup. So by default, by any chance, you have tried setting up WordPress earlier?
What is it? Setting up?
WordPress. Any blog or something?
No.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. So it's a bit easy, but they have certain levers here and there. So sometimes it gets tough. Okay, if you want to do. So we are going to do something very basic today, but we'll see how Docker Compose fares in. Okay, because we don't have anything, like I don't have any experience on WordPress and all. And let's say I want to start my blog. Okay, so okay, exit, there you go. Chalo. It's pretty much good. Let's see Docker PS. So containers, Docker PS -a, and we have these exited containers. So what we are going to do now is we are going to see something unseen, like we want to spin up something which we are not aware of. We'll go inside the WordPress. This demo I took it from Docker desktop, Docker document. So let's see what exactly we are going to do. So we have two parts here and two parent level objects. So here you can see version is 3.3 is the latest, and so we have two parts like DB. DB is using something like DB data, and it is getting mapped to some internal MySQL part in the image, which we are using MySQL 5.7, and restart is always. You can check what this property does, and we are passing certain environment variables. Okay. Then we have WordPress, and it is using official image, but it is also dependent on DB. So if DB is not up or it is not created, so this will not get executed. Okay. And then we have port mapping, we have restart, and here as well we are using service system. Okay, and certain passwords here and there. Let's go here. I'm putting roll enter here. And this is Docker Compose.yaml. Okay, this file is also Docker Compose.yaml. Okay. So Docker Compose. I'm using up. I'm not using -d just to see all the events which we see. So we can see that port 8000 is exposed. Let's see whether we can just see. So you can see that we are seeing the live logs from there. You can see that we are in the setup instructions. Right? Okay, so it's like you can spin up your own blog and then go and play around with it. So it's that simple. Like if you have the Docker Compose files in the development flow, so it will be pretty easy for the new person who's going to work on any of the components, right? I'm going to press Ctrl C, stopping both. So how to find your way around Docker Compose? So first thing is read at least 10 Docker Compose files, okay? And the good way to use Docker file, Docker Compose is don't complicate your Docker Compose file. Don't do all the don't use all the levers on your Docker Compose file. Keep it as simple as possible, okay? Because the more things you will do here on the Docker Compose means the less you will do in the images, means everywhere you have to have your configuration. So rather, I will always recommend have all the things, whatever you are trying to do on the image side itself, like how you want to run it, the dependencies, the CMD or the entry point, everything, just keep it there, okay? So this is one type, okay? So we are using the images and all those things. Let's go back to the other one. We had one more Go-based project which we were using earlier, Wordsmith. So let's go back there. We never saw it like how it was actually in action. So we are coming here, and this time I'm adding one more instance. So Docker info, okay, and I'm going to clear it. Docker ps, no containers are running. Docker ps-a, okay, clean slate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get clone. I'm going to we are inside Wordsmith. And I'm going to check Git branch. So I am on master. Okay. We are on master branch. What I'm going to do is git branch -a, and you can see that there is something called as compose file. Okay. So what I'm going to do, git checkout. I'm going to do git status. So we are on this branch now, and we have a compose file here. So what I did just now is I went back, I used git, clone the repo, which was Wordsmith, which we had used earlier. And then what we did is I moved to the branch where exactly I have the Docker file, or repo have the Docker file. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to see what we have in the Docker file for this. So in order to show you what I do is I will show you here on the VS Code first, or let me do. So you can come and change your branch here from this, and then we can go to DevOps. Why this thing? So here, if you remember, we had three components, which was web, DB, and bird. So this Docker file is that simple. Like directly, they are saying, hey, instead of image, we are using build. Okay. So what it is doing is it is going inside the build folder, whatever we have. Okay. And what it will get inside the build folder, if anyone can recollect it properly by any chance. So if you go inside the web or DB or birth, you will find something called as a Docker file. Docker file needs to be added here. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are going to copy the Docker files and paste it there. So this is from the DB. So we are inside the web. So this is another way of using compose. Okay, when this will work is, let's say you have this Wordsmith repo, and you are actually working on the DB component. Okay, so your code will reside inside this, and you are yet to push the image to any artifactory or any repository from where you can use a Docker file which is of this type, which we used earlier. Just one second. Okay, so here we are talking about a pure development driven, like you are making the change and you are testing it locally in your machine. So in order to do that, what you have to do is you have to build what you have written. So here we are directly using an image, means this application is already pushed to an artifactory, like image is already created. But now we are talking about a scenario when we are in a stage prior to creating an image. Okay, so we are in the local development stage. So let's go back again. I have copied it. I'll go inside the host machine, and I am inside DB. There is no Docker file. Paste. ls, and let's do one thing. Let's go back and run the Docker compose now and see what error we'll see. I'm not running it with, oh, creating network, what's with default, with the default driver, building web, cannot locate a specified Docker file. Okay. So it is straightforward saying, hey, I cannot locate the Docker file. So Docker yes, no container got created. Okay. So Rajshekhar, you can see the things in action. We already have web, but means not web, but DB, but it's failed at the web itself. Okay. So where we are inside the LS, and DB is good. Let's go inside web now. Okay. So I'm going inside web, and I'm just using copy paste. So just be with me. I'll go inside web, and I'll copy this Docker file. Raw. Copy. Docker file. Paste. And the D from the Docker compose. Though we know it will not work. Okay, cannot locate Docker file for the words. No container got created. Okay. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to solve the last problem. Which is going to be the worst service. Okay. Okay, we have the compose file here. Okay, so I'm going to press this. And so the whole idea here is or was to, this is also an app which was pushed by or shown in Docker conference, DockerConf, and this was to show this scaling which Rajshekhar you were asking earlier. Okay, so you can see that I refreshed it, but the words did not change. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we are going to first of all stop it, or let me show you an interesting thing in the play with Docker. So I'm inside Docker node 3, right? Let's say for this time I'm stopping it and I'm starting it with the detached mode. Okay, it's starting again. And I want to access this node 3, okay, from SSH. So what I'll do is I'll come here, copy it, come here, and I'm inside the node 2 now. Now I'm inside node 3. Okay, so when this will be good, let's say you are running some container and it took over your this command prompt. What you can do, you can come here inside this and use Docker kill and close that container. So it's interesting. Just to try it. So our app is up. Okay, so its ID got changed because now, okay, we are getting different. If I'm trying to change it, like refresh it, you will see everything same. Okay. I saw Docker Compose scale. I can help. And it says like scale web 2 worker 3 and like this. Okay, let's do this. Docker PS, you have this and Docker. Yeah. I was going to show you how you can get the service name. So Docker Compose scale, in our scenario, let's say we now say we want 3 instances of web. And what was the third thing? We have web, we have DB, and we have words. So let's say I'll use the words, and I'll say I want 4 instances out of it. Saying 3 instances of web done, 4 instances of words done. So we'll come here and try to do refresh. You can see we got upping, but these things got changed. Okay, and it will keep on getting changed. When there was 1 instance, so you'll have one word, and whenever it is trying to hit the different instances, so each instance is giving one particular word. Our red laptop pushes a ping microservice. A red container smashes the famous Moby dock. Okay, fancy sentences. Let's say I want 40 containers. Okay, Docker compose PS, and you have these many containers now, and if I'm going to refresh, again, this is just playing around. Hypothetically, you are not going to do that. So I'm not going to stress this machine even more. It's just 4 GB of space. So I guess we have a command to lower the number of instances as well. Perfect. This machine is getting slower now. The number of containers for a service. Start. Okay, so we'll give scale as 4 now. Okay, so it's stopping the other containers. So we saw Docker Compose from 2 different perspectives. One was something static, we are just running the containers, and the other one was like I myself are working on something, and then I can build my workspace and see how it exactly interacts with the other components and the solution. Okay, so far so good. Any questions?
If you liked our Docker session so far, please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest.
Thanks for watching.